Our environment. So usually we refer our environment as the surrounding to us is referred as our environment. Our environment comprise both biotic and abiotic factors. What actually our environment comprise? On the earth, it is referred as ecosystem. Ecosystem is the concept where we are going to study the all the organisms interact What is an ecosystem? There will be continuous interaction between biotic and abiotic factors on the earth is known as ecosystem. And all the biotic factors like plants, animals, microorganisms, human beings will interact with the physical surroundings. And what are these physical surroundings refer? And these physical surroundings may be both biotic or abiotic. They may interact with other living organisms, or even they may react with abiotic components like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil, minerals. Almost all physical properties comes here under abiotic factors. So ecosystem is the continuous interaction between biotic and abiotic factors. Even the ecosystem can also referred as biosphere. A continuous interaction between biotic and abiotic components on this biome is referred as biosphere. As you see, the biosphere is the major component which is having the association between atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere. And here we can see the interaction between both living and non-living components. Hence, it is referred as biosphere. Biosphere in the sense a continuous interaction between biotic and abiotic factors on this biome is known as biosphere. And what are the types of ecosystem? The ecosystem can be classified into three types: the natural terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, man-made ecosystem. The terrestrial natural ecosystems are grassland, forest and deserts. As you see, both physical properties and the living components are entirely different with each type of ecosystem. And the second one is aquatic ecosystem. And aquatic ecosystem can be classified as marine ecosystem and freshwater ecosystem. Both are entirely different because the marine is having more concentration of salt, whereas freshwater system has less concentration of salt. Hence, the living organisms, the aquatic organisms, depending on this water is entirely different with reference to marine and freshwater. And the third type is artificial or man-made ecosystem. Man-made ponds, artificial ponds, lakes, aquariums, crop fields, all these are the best examples for man-made ecosystem. If a man is making an aquarium, you can see the plants, fishes along with the pebbles and with nutrient water pond, and all this provided in such a way that it can compensate the natural ecosystem. So in that environment the fishes can survive, if not the fishes will die. This is about the artificial or man-made ecosystem. An ecosystem is made up of biotic as well as abiotic factors. The interactions of living organisms with their physical environment builds up the ecosystem and is designed as the biosphere or ecosystem. Both are one and the same. The ecosystem, I told, it mainly comprises biotic factors, and these biotic factors can be categorized as producers, consumers, and decomposers. In order to provide self-sustaining ecosystem, all these three components plays a major role in controlling the biogeochemical cycles and the movement of nutrients from living components to the non-living components. Now, producers use energy and inorganic molecules to make food. Now, all producers are green plants which can prepare their own food by using inorganic components like carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to prepare the food in the form called sugars or carbohydrates with the release of oxygen, and also it removes excess of water. And one more concept, it uses the sunlight, solar radiation. It is about only 1% for photosynthesis. The consumers take in the food by eating the producers, and the consumers can be categorized as herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and parasites. All these are the consumers which depend on other organisms for the food, as they cannot prepare their own food because these organisms, they don't have chlorophyll. And the next category is decomposers. The decomposers can break down the complex organic substances into simple inorganic substances that go into the soil and used up once again by the plants to prepare the food, and it transfers to the producers, and after the death of the producers and the consumers, the complex dead matter converts into simple inorganic matter by the microbial activity by the fungi and bacteria, and thus organisms are called as decomposers. The bacteria and the fungi, the microbial activities results in converting the complex dead matter into simple inorganic minerals, and this could possible by the decomposers. So decomposers break down dead organisms and other organic waste and release inorganic molecules back to the environment. The best examples are bacteria and fungi. Producers always they make their own food. Consumers, they eat other organisms or they depend on other organisms. Decomposers always they involve in breakdown of the complex organic substance into simple inorganic substances. The producers, they are the major source which can convert the solar radiation into chemical energy. That is possible by the process called photosynthesis. And producers, they prepare the food and they provide the food for all kinds of consumers. And the consumers again divided as primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Always the primary consumers are herbivores, secondary consumers are maybe herbivores and the carnivores. Secondary consumers depends on primary consumers, and the secondary consumers become a food for tertiary consumers. The tertiary consumers depends on secondary consumers for the food. And how the energy will flow from each trophic level. Now the producers, if they produce 1000 kilocalories of the food will transfer to primary consumers. It is only 10%, that is 100 kilocalories. And from primary consumers to the secondary consumers, it is only 10% will be the food will be carried to the secondary consumers, that is 10 kilocalories. and from the secondary consumers, the energy level which get transferred to the tertiary consumers, it only 10%. So only 10% as an average value, the amount of organic matter will passes from one trophic level to the another trophic level. An average of 10% of food eaten is turned into its own body and made available for the next level of consumers. So hence it is referred as 10% law. The food chain, where the transfer of energy level or the transfers of food from one trophic level to the another trophic level, is referred as food chain. If the food chains are interconnected, then it is referred as food web. The food chain interconnections is referred as food web. What actually happens here, the transfer of food from one trophic level to the another trophic level, and the energy get transfers in unidirectional. The energy flow is always considered as unidirectional. Why it is considered as unidirectional? The plants get the energy from the sun, and again it cannot be sent it back. Once it absorbs, that converts into chemical energy, hence it is unidirectional. Once the producers produce the food, it transfers to the consumers, and again the consumers cannot send back to the producers, and again the producers to the primary consumers to the secondary consumers, and secondary consumers to the tertiary consumers. So the flow of energy is always considered as unidirectional. The energy captured by the autotrophs, it reaches till the tertiary consumers in a unidirectional way. It moves in a progressively from one trophic level to the another trophic level, but it cannot be reversed back. Even the trophic level gets diminished progressively due to the loss of energy at each level, that could possible by 10% law. So by this we can say that the flow of energy is always unidirectional, and also each trophic level gets diminished progressively due to the loss of energy at each level. And we know that in our environment we are protected by an umbrella, and that umbrella is nothing but ozone layer. Where do ozone layer is found? It is found in stratosphere. Now the molecular formula of ozone is O3. It is mainly made up of 3 atomic oxygens, and ozone protect us from UV radiations. And now this ozone layer is getting depleted, and this depletion or thinning of the ozone layer is due to the chemical called CFC. The CFCs are chlorofluorocarbon. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980. This decrease has been linked to synthetic chemical, the mainly chlorofluorocarbon, which are used as an refrigerants in the fire extinguishers and also in ACs and insulating foams. In 1987, the United Nations Environment Program UNEP succeeded in forging an agreement to freeze CFC production at 1986 levels. It is now mandatory for all the manufacturer companies to make CFC free refrigerators and ACs. Now this CFC is being replaced by hydrocarbons and even sometimes replaced by liquid ammonia. Now this is the image showing that the sun releases UV radiations, and UV radiations can reach the earth, but it is protected by the blue color ring called ozone. Ozone will act as a shield which protect us from the UV radiations. Now if UV radiations directly falls on the earth. What could happen if the ozone depletion occurs and directly UV radiations falls on the earth? What will be the result? We could find the damage for the phytoplanktons. Even the human beings can have the blindness, eye defects, and all the physiological activities will affected in the plants, and also it leads to the DNA change and leading to the blood cancer, leukemia, and skin cancer, and many more kinds of cancers because of DNA change and mutations, and this could possible if UV radiations directly fall on the earth. Now these are prevented by the ozone layer. Management of the garbage. We usually produce 6 kg of garbage per head per citizen of India. Now what should this garbage, how to manage this garbage? The garbage has to maintain very well in this manner. The paper should be separated, the glass item should be separated, the plastic should be separated, and the metallic items should be separated. Along with this, even the biomass, the bio waste should be kept in a green container as a bio waste. Now paper, glass, plastic can be easily recycled, the metal too recycled, and the leftover is biomass, the bio waste. And now this bio waste can be recycled to form compost. And how this could be possible? This could be possible by keeping a separate old containers separately, and whatever the kitchen waste, it will be collected in the home, that should be dumped into the containers and just leave it for a few days, and it converts into a green manure. And this green manure can be used for kitchen garden, and this kitchen garden is very important to each and every home, so that every family can involve in converting the bio waste into useful food. The bio waste which convert into manure, and that manure can be converted into eatables by maintaining the kitchen garden. So this is about the garbage management. And even we know that in our environment we can come across the chemicals which is increasing in the environment by different human activities. Now these chemicals started entering into the food chain. Through the food chain, the chemicals enters from one trophic level to the another trophic level, but they never degrade in the trophic level. As a result, the toxic chemicals concentration goes on increasing, and this leads to biomagnification. Biomagnification is a process where the toxic chemicals enters into the food chain without undergoing any degradation. The concentration goes on increasing and resulting in biomagnification, where the chemicals, toxic chemicals, retain within our body. The proof is the traces of DDT powder was found in mother's milk and cow's milk. This indicates the DDT powder never undergo degradation. It enters into the food chain. As a result, we can find these chemicals in the fluids of the organisms. The other one is biodegradable chemicals. The other one is biodegradable components. Biodegradable components are easily involved in biodegradable substances. That is, many substances, when it is buried in the soil, easily that will breaks down to form as a inorganic substances. Now the complex organic substances breaks down to inorganic substances by the microbial activity, and such substances are biodegradable substances. The other one is non-biodegradable substances like glass, the metals, the plastic will retain in the environment for longer time. Of course, metals can undergo little bit of biodegradation, but other glass and plastic never undergo degradation. So, such non-biodegradable components will become pollutants for the environment. So, such pollutants should be recycled in a better way, and biodegradable waste should be converted into a biomanure. So, like this, we can keep our environment clean and tidy. So, always try to maintain a kitchen garden and indoor garden so that you can produce your own oxygen by growing the plants. So, keep growing the plants and keep the environment clean. Go green with Jyoti.